Well, here we go, diving into a brand new week, a brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board as we get ready for another big week. Never a dull moment when Donald Trump is in the White House, that's for sure. Fighting for you for the foxhole. Who would you want in your foxhole if you had to stand shoulder to shoulder? We're going to get into this day with talent on loan from God. That's what a guy used to say. Talent on loan from God. That's how we do this every day. Here are three big things you need to know right now. Number one, a suspect expected to be arraigned today for the stabbing rampage at a Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan. 11 people hospitalized after those bloody attacks. Number two, President Trump sealed the biggest trade deal yet. It could be the biggest one that gets done ever as he came to an agreement with the EU, America's largest trading partner. I'll tell you about that. And number three, the Democrat Party has set dumpster fire after dumpster fire in this country, as you know. And the Trump administration doing its level best to put them all out, as they say, it ain't easy. Case in point, when it comes to the border, this should be in the top story on all the major networks, but it's not. You'll have to hear it here for sure, at least. Listen.
We just got information from an HHS official that shows that 13,061 unaccompanied minors have actually been located under the Trump administration. And ICE, we're learning, is also arresting some of the sponsors. 442 sponsors have been arrested for involvement in suspected child abuse or other crimes are being discovered. Now, the abuse is being determined through a multifaceted investigation if they do determine that sponsor was abusing that child. Now, they're using local police, CPS, federal agencies. They're all involved, according to HHS. Now, former special agents with Homeland Security investigations have explained to us that oftentimes these kids are left behind as payment. The parent is often promised by the cartel members that they will eventually be reunited with their child in the U.S. That child, sadly, is often recycled to help single adults enter the country illegally. Now, we know that 320,000 unaccompanied minors were essentially unaccounted for under the Biden administration. The Trump administration, they campaigned on it. They've been talking about it regularly. It's a priority for them to go and find these kids, but still just a fraction, Nicole, 13,000 out of 320,000 so far.
Unbelievable.
Truly just a fraction there, Allie.
Yeah, really remarkable there. Even RT has the information you need. Others don't even bother to look. Children used as payment, she said. There's more blood on the Biden administration's hands than we will ever know. The Trump administration is locating 13,000 kids. But how many more are lost forever, never to be found? How many are used as payment that's never recovered? There's no wonder that the Democrat Party's ratings are in the dumpster, to say the least. In fact, the latest Wall Street Journal poll finds that 63% of voters, 63%, have a negative view of the party, two-thirds, the lowest in over 35 years. And even DNC chair Ken Martin describes the party as hitting rock bottom. Here he is.
You know, it wasn't as a result of just one single election. I've seen for some years now us continue to lose ground with many parts of our coalition. And so it doesn't surprise me where we're at, but guess what? When you hit rock bottom, there's only one direction to go, and that's up.
Here's the problem, Ken. You don't learn. You see, they pretend to learn. They go on podcasts and talk about toughness. Here's Pete Buttigieg on with Charlemagne as an example.
My biggest problem with Democrats is it's like everything they're saying now, you should have been saying 2-3 years ago. Like, we've been saying Democrats was cowards. So, yes, y'all should have been toughened up. You know, Jake Tapper with The Original Sin, and you read that book, and you see everybody knew that that Biden was too old to run, but nobody said anything. But now everybody wants to speak up. His press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, saying she's an independent now. And, you know, I'm like, yo, why weren't y'all saying this 2-3 years ago? All of these things that y'all are saying, we the people had been saying.
I would say also that there are a lot of things we were fighting for then that we're fighting for now. The Medicaid stuff is a good example. The transportation stuff, right? I was, you know, sometimes we were taking hits for people thinking we were caring too much about taking care of neighborhoods that were underinvested in or hurt in the past. I believed that it was the right thing to do then. I believe it's the right thing to do now. But yeah, we have to show a level of toughness in order to be credible.
You're not credible, Pete, and you're not tough. You don't learn your lessons. Instead, you open your summits with a talking panda head as an MC. They think this is what's going to woo the best and brightest of our nation. Check out just how empty this event is.
What the is up? Let's go! So some ground rules. I don't think that this will be super necessary because you all seem really cool, smart, and hot. Who the are we? And why are we here in a panda head? I also have had a long-term feud with former presidential candidate Marianne Williamson because she sucks. Memes change people's minds.
Okay.
So what's a meme, huh? Come on, people.
Anyhow,
Look
enough
alive.
of this. I assure you, no one in that audience felt alive, and they even had Kamala Harris come out from hiding for the keynote address by video, even though they had some technical difficulties.
And encouraging your ambition. Your generation has grown up on the front lines of so many crises, from COVID and the climate crisis to gun violence and mental health. You know what's at stake, and you are not waiting for someone else to figure it out.
How motivating. That motivational speech from Kamala Harris. It's not enough to resurrect this party. Why? Because Americans are watching every week as President Trump works overtime to put out the fires these guys start every day. Someone on the Democrat social media team is getting fired because they posted this chart as some kind of slam for high grocery prices. But take a look. That massive jump you see in prices, that's right after Joe Biden took office, and it just kept getting worse. I don't know how they thought they could put that one on the Trump team, who's been in office for, 6 months. Look at that. That's all Bidenflation. Yeah, they quickly deleted the tweet after enough people point out that this wasn't the slam they thought it was, wasn't even close, especially when the economy is doing better today than the panicans ever predicted. So good, in fact, that President Trump is floating the idea of some rebates for some Americans. Money back to you. Really? Yeah, really. Listen.
We're thinking about that, actually. We have so much money coming in. We're thinking about a little rebate, but the big thing we want to do is pay down debt. But we're thinking about a rebate. That's a very good question. You just made a lot of news. We're thinking about a rebate because we have so much money coming in from tariffs that a little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice.
Might be very nice. Refund checks. And that possibility of that kind of rebate or refund looking better than ever. President Trump just now securing that historic trade deal with the EU. It doesn't get any better than this, and we're going to get to all of that after the break because I want you to hear the whole thing. Ursula von der Leyen basically got nothing. Nothing for the EU. We now have in place 15% tariffs permanently against EU products coming into this country. 15%, which means we'll be getting money on infinitum. The EU is America's biggest trading partner, 27 countries in all. And you look at this, and you have to say, well, gee, is it even working for the EU? And they got creamed in this deal. Creamed. But we're going to send agricultural products, cars over there. They've opened up their markets to us while we've basically tightened the screws a little bit on them. The art of the deal. The art of the deal shining yesterday in Scotland. We'll tell you about it after the break. Welcome to a brand new week here on the Steve Gruber Show. Good to have you along. We'll be right back. All right, diving back in as we continue now. Look, this deal that President Trump put together with Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU and the entire EU, is a remarkable deal. They spoke about it yesterday in Scotland, and it's clear she got nothing out of this. Nothing. Listen.
European Union is going to agree to purchase from the United States $750 billion worth of energy. $750 billion worth of energy. They are going to agree to invest into the United States $600 billion more than they're investing already. So they're investing a large amount of money. You know what that amount of money is. It's very substantial, but they're going to invest an additional $600 billion. They're agreeing to open up their countries to trade at zero tariff. So that's a very big factor. Opening up their countries, all of the countries will be opened up to trade with the United States at zero tariff. And they're agreeing to purchase a vast amount of military equipment. We don't know what that number is, but it's the good news is we make the best military equipment in the world, so sort of you have to do that. I mean, until somebody tops us, which is not going to happen. We're way ahead of every other country in terms of the quality of the military equipment.
And there you go, and the list goes on. By the way, von der Leyen being just attacked on social media, von der Liar, they call her, said she got screwed in this deal. The European Union last year finished with a $50 million euro surplus against America, but not anymore. We're getting the deals flattened out thanks to Donald Trump. And you know who else is hopefully getting their due thanks to President Trump? The victims of those horrible Los Angeles fires, among other things. They were swindled out of $100 million in charity aid that was promised to them. California member of Congress Kevin Kiley explains the problem. It's pretty clear. Listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to open an investigation into the fire aid concert that took place in the aftermath of the devastating Los Angeles fires. What has happened, what we have learned, is absolutely beyond belief. In the aftermath of these fires, which destroyed 18,000 homes and killed, tragically, 30 people, there was a fire aid concert in which a number of high-profile musicians generously agreed to perform, and people responded in an amazing way. Tens of thousands of people donated, raising $100 million for what they were told was direct relief for the victims. But now we've learned that this money didn't go to the victims at all. Instead, it went to nonprofits, some of which have nothing to do with fire relief, where they promote things like voting and civic engagement and multi-generational power building. Some of them aren't even located in LA. So I've asked the Attorney General to open an investigation in order to restore the intent of the donors, in order to make the victims whole and to bring accountability. I yield back.
Yeah, what a ridiculous deal. Fleeced again. The concert featured victims who shared their stories of loss and were led to believe that the aid would be given directly to them, but they say they haven't seen a dime. Not a dime. Here's one of those victims real quick.
Okay, so at this point, you're still, in the process of getting...
Still in the process of getting
Did you think that you would actually get direct money?
I did. As with, I'm sure, most Altadenians and those in Pacific Palisades, they also pretty much, the fire aid was for us, so we figured that, well, where's the money? Where's it going?
Yeah, didn't come to you, pal. Sorry about that. You got lied to. The Trump administration opening an investigation into the funds, with one civic engagement group already returning their portion of the proceeds. After all the fuss, good for them. Hopefully others will follow suit, but I wouldn't hold your breath. And that's not all Donald Trump is helping California with. His latest executive order on homelessness could be a game changer for the crisis in the not-so-golden state and elsewhere in this country. It gives state and local governments the power to clear encampments that are a threat to public safety, allowing authorities to commit homeless people who are deemed to risk themselves or others for treatment, an important step to restoring public order. States who take the initiative on cracking down on public drug use, squatting, and sex trafficking will be prioritized for receiving federal grants that assist those endeavors. And other federal funding will be redirected from Housing First initiatives to to substance abuse treatment and mental health services. In other words, drugged out homeless people aren't going to get money for an apartment that they will destroy inevitably before getting help with substance abuse and their mental health. Got to put things in order. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond says he thinks this is absolutely the right track. Here's what he says.
I'm ecstatic. I mean, finally, we're going to get to the root causes of homelessness.
This executive order also calls for increased accountability in how the government provides and funds homelessness assistance and transitional living programs. That includes ending support for housing first policies, which the federal government says deprioritize accountability and fail to promote treatment, recovery, and self-sufficiency. Desmond hopes the state will back the federal government's approach.
I'm hopeful that the state of California and the governor say, hey, we'll take your help, federal government. We'll take your dollars. We'll build mental health facilities. We'll put in the right treatment centers. We'll change from a housing first to treatment and care.
Yeah, as it should be. The Trump administration's efforts to secure our nation offer hope. Hope for those missing kids, hope for the economy, hope for the streets of states like California. Democrats continue to flounder, proving once again that real action, not inclusive pandering, saves lives in neighborhoods, and that's why the Democrats have a 2/3 rejection rate among their own people. While the elites got rich off crypto, a lot of folks left behind, but Block Trust IRA is changing that, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans like you. Crypto fueling President Trump's America First economy. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies, helping patriots like you build real wealth, just like the elites. It's the #1 crypto tech platform, according to Bitcoin Magazine. Block Trust IRA offering up to $200 million in protection. Some clients see returns over 200%. Doesn't matter who you are, trucker, teacher, truck driver, doesn't matter. Get a $2,500 bonus crypto when you sign up. SteveGruberCrypto.com. Go check this out. You're going to be glad you did. SteveGruberCrypto.com. I'll be back. Welcome to the week. We'll be looking at this in the days to come, but what about a housing market crash here in 2026? It's possible. It's possible because the incredible amount of inflated pricing that happened during COVID. Cape Coral, Florida, for example. The median prices of May 2020 to May 2022 went from $239,000 to $436,000. Almost doubled the cost of a house in Cape Coral, Florida. $239,000 to $436,000. But prices now coming back the other way. Came down to $413,000, now it's $391,000, and now it's $361,000 July. So it's down $100,000, so it doubled $200,000. So if you own a home there and you went and bought it at the high end of the market, boy, are you in trouble. That creates problems. And it's not just Cape Coral, it is all over the United States. Places went bananas. They went crazy with price hikes. And now there's a concern about where it goes and how people can maintain a house that they paid way too much for. If you're not moving, it's not a big deal. You can wait for it. But if you are moving, well, that does change things. Yeah, it does change things. So, anyhow, there you go. If you want to lose weight and you don't want to be on heavy medications, my good friends at My Pure Health can help you today. Now is the time to get it done. Customized weight loss programs, 20 to 40 days, 20 to 40 pounds, maybe more. Find out why your metabolism is broken, how My Pure Health Solutions turns it back on for good. They uncover the real reasons your body holds on to fat, like hormones, inflammation, and more. I did the program in 2018. It worked for me. I loved it. You don't even need to exercise, just real food, real results, and weekly one-on-one coaching to keep you on track. Breakthrough tech to reactivate your stem cells too. Get started today. GruberHealth.com. If you don't want to have to take a shot and be on pharmaceuticals for the rest of whatever, try this. Try just getting in tune with your body. GruberHealth.com. Be summer ready anywhere in America. GruberHealth.com. Real results, real food, real simple, and it really works. All right. We're going to talk about that attack at the Walmart, Traverse City, Michigan, in detail. 42-year-old man in custody charged 11 counts of attempted murder plus terrorism. The story is straight ahead.
Ernie Johnson is
When the headlines came pouring out on Saturday, I was notified we have a system here at the program. We have a guy who monitors police and fire scanners all over America. And on Saturday midday, he's reaching out to me, blowing my phone up with text messages saying, look, we've got a mass casualty event, Traverse City, Michigan. I'm like, weird. And it is weird. But what it shows, my friends, nobody is immune to this sort of thing. Thank God a good guy with a gun was there. So you've got this suspect. He's now been identified, 42-year-old Bradford James Gill, facing a count of terrorism and 11 counts of assault with intent to murder. He went on this stabbing spree. 11 people stabbed, 5 of them critically. The age of the victims, 29 to 84 years of age. 29 to 84 years of age was the range of these victims, right? Right. So then one of these, a big guy, big burly guy, sees it. He rams a shopping cart into the guy's Achilles tendons from behind. That starts to disable him. Then another gentleman, I'm told these are both, by the way, former United States Marines. Next guy pulls the gun. Apparently both visiting Traverse City. But the suspect, Bradford James Gill of Afton, Michigan, that's Sheboygan County, apparently. Grand Traverse County Sheriff Michael Shea. I got to be honest here. I'm a law enforcement guy, but Michael Shea, why are you out in front of the cameras if you've got nothing to say? Sheriff, if you're going to say something, say something. Why wander out there? Well, I don't have anything to say about that. I don't know about this. It was the worst press conference I've ever seen. Maybe you should take lessons from Grady Judd. A friend of mine said that over the weekend. Grady Judd is the sheriff in Florida who says, look, this dirtbag got arrested, puts his picture up. Here's the dirtbag that got arrested that we're going to be charging with X, Y, and Z. There might be a little something to that, Mr. Shea. If you're going to be sheriff, maybe communicate with the people you're trying to protect. Now, we don't know much about this guy. We're waiting for arraignment. We anticipate it today. We'll try to find out more for you. One Walmart employee injured in this attack, but Walmart, and here's the problem with Traverse City. A couple of things. First of all, it's been a sanctuary city. Number two, they've had this giant homeless encampment not too far from this Walmart. Don't know if any of these things are related yet. Don't know why a guy would travel. It's got to be an hour from Afton to Traverse City. I'd have to look at a map, but it's got to be an hour, right? It's a ways. Not exactly right around the corner. Here's the good news from Munson Medical Center. Great hospital, by the way. By all accounts, I've never had the benefit of their services, at least so far, but gravity generally wins. Over the past 12 hours, we've seen encouraging signs of recovery among our patients. The physicians, surgeons, nurses. Look, I have to tip my hat to the medical team, to the EMTs, to these 2 U.S. Marines. Man, it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse. Good guy with a gun, a concealed carry permit, saves the day. He didn't have to shoot anybody. He had to pull his gun and back the guy down. Then the rest of the people jumped in and subdued the guy, took his knife away, right? Good stuff. Got it done. But the ability to jump in, look, you don't expect a mass casualty event anywhere, I suppose, but you certainly don't expect one in Traverse City, a small city, right? It's not a big town, it's a small city, and then you have this attack, so I praise the people that got involved there. It also tells me this is why you can't leave the house unless you're carrying. You need a CPL out there. A concealed pistol license in Michigan is what they call it. Concealed carry permit, whatever you'd like to call it. That's why you need it. If you're just running down to Walmart to pick up a couple of things and all of a sudden somebody goes berserk, as they say, don't leave home without it. Be protected out there. And be situationally aware. I mean, I don't know what this guy's connected to or if he's just good old-fashioned nuts. I'm not really sure. Looks like here's one account. Tiffany DeFell, she's 36, lives in Honor, Michigan. That's about, 20, 25 miles from Traverse City. Told the Associated Press it was really scary. Me and my sister were just freaking out. It's something you see out of the movies. It's not what you expect to see where you're living. I would say not. Pretty crazy stuff, but just complete chaos. Great stories, by the way, at MichiganNewsSource.com. Jen Isbell wrote a really compelling story that has all the information, the law enforcement response, the confusion, concern, the hospital surge, the governor. Gretchen Whitmer did weigh in. Our thoughts are with the victims of the community reeling from this brutal act of violence. Who did it? Marine veterans stepping in, the aftermath, all of it. MichiganNewsSource.com. Jen Isbell did a great job there. There's no question about that. Now, speaking about doing a great job educating you, how about Hillsdale College? Discover what makes American citizenship unique and why it's in decline. And it is. I mean, these sorts of things make you wonder what the hell's going on. In this free Hillsdale College online course, renowned historian Victor Davis Hanson explores the foundation of American freedom, the responsibilities of self-government, and the cultural forces eroding our shared values today. Here is a preview of what you'll learn when you watch it. Listen.
When you have these woke revolutions, it requires all of us at some point to say, no, not going to do this. A nation has to have civic education. They have to know what the Constitution is. They have to know what the First Amendment is. They have to have some idea who the people were that died at Shiloh, what Okinawa was about, who Andrew Jackson was, who Lincoln was, who Harriet Tubman was. If you don't have models of your past, you're going to forget it. We are living in a country that has no resemblance to the visions of the Founding Fathers in the first 200 years of our history. We're losing that ability with tribal politics, wokeness, cancel culture. If you lose the idea of citizenship, and if Americans don't see themselves as unique citizens of the United States, then you don't have a country.
Very important stuff. I am an American citizen. Victor Davis Hanson. And you see how well that's done. You see the video, you see the backdrop, you see everything that he's talking about there. What a powerful individual he is, by the way, when it comes to a narrative on this country. Powerful historical insights, modern analysis. Hanson reveals how reclaiming the principles of the founders can restore our nation's civic strength. We have to have civic education. He just talked about it right there. You have to understand who we are, where we came from, and why it's worth fighting for. At the school board, at the county election, at the statewide election, at the national election, why it's worth fighting for. I applaud Hillsdale. They've become good friends of this program, great partners, but more than that, they're partners with America. And that's why I encourage you to enroll for free. For free. Gain the knowledge to defend liberty for future generations. What do you need to do? It's very simple. Go to gruberforhillsdale.com. Do that now. Join me in defending freedom, learning about our incredible country. It's the easy thing to do, and it's a lot cheaper than Netflix because, again, it's free. gruberforhillsdale.com. Share this with your kids and your grandkids. Pass the truth of freedom on to the next generation. gruberforhillsdale.com. Do that now. Support the people that support freedom and support this program every day. I thank you for your help in advance. gruberforhillsdale.com. When we come back, veterans standing up for veterans in America. We'll talk about it. Up next on The Steve Gruber Show. Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show, where we talk about real issues, real people, and real solutions. Today, I am honored to have someone joining me who is making a real difference for our nation's veterans. Paul Edelstein is here with me. Paul's here to talk about a program called PuroVet and how it's helping veterans become successful business owners. Paul, welcome back to the show.
Steve, thank you. Great to be here.
Let's talk about this. PuroClean is a company that goes out and helps people clean up and get their lives back on track after a big disaster. It could be a fire at home, could be a natural disaster, an earthquake, a tornado, a hurricane, whatever it is. But you're not just helping people get back on track. Now you're helping veterans get back on track, offering them a unique opportunity to become partners with your company at a reduced rate, put them to the front of the line, and to kind of say thank you. Here's the keys to the car. Thank you for being a veteran. Thank you for serving this nation. Tell us what this is all about.
Absolutely. So we not only provide the keys to the car, we empower our veterans to be successful business owners. The PuroVet program, which is currently being spearheaded by Frank Torrey, our vice chairman, is geared at helping veterans become successful business owners. So obviously, we don't only take some fees off of the franchising cost, we actually help them understand the process. We help them really understand how to be successful in this industry. We offer training. We've partnered with a national nonprofit organization that gives our veterans at PuroClean access to additional revenue-making opportunities through veteran business certification. That opens up additional opportunities in a huge $122 billion marketplace.
Yeah, and it is huge. Look, we see it every day in the headlines just about, whether it's the floods in Texas, the disasters in Western North Carolina, the fires in California, Hawaii. You see it every day. PuroClean is one of the nation's leading companies when it comes to property restoration. So what you've done here for military veterans is open the door there. Like you said, financing, mentorship, training, support. It really is incredible. So you're helping them not just to find a job, but a career. They become business owners, Paul.
Correct. Not only do they become business owners, but they're creating a family legacy. This is a business that they can, of course, leave for their children. And we found that veterans are incredible at this industry. They're mission-oriented, they're standard operating procedure, and our system is exactly geared to make veterans very successful in this industry.
Yeah, well, look, to be fair, veterans have been cleaning up after all of us for quite some time. Their whole careers are cleaning up after us, Paul. It's kind of in their DNA, I suppose. So this is just a remarkable opportunity. Now, I know certification plays a big role in all of this, especially through the NVBDC. Tell me what that is. Explain to the folks what that is and why it's important.
Absolutely. So the National Veteran Business Development Council is a nonprofit organization that helps service-disabled and veteran-owned businesses access additional contracting opportunities through what's called supplier diversity. So supplier diversity is a program that most major corporations in the U.S. have, where they pledge to spend 25% of all procurement, meaning goods and services that they buy, from certified suppliers. What this council does is it certifies and verifies exactly that this is a legitimate veteran-owned business. Specifically for our program, what this does is it gives our franchisees access to corporate America, where they can get additional opportunities for facilities mitigation, obviously fire, flood, mold, and wind. So this basically empowers them.
So again, not only at the head of the line to get a chance to get their foot in the door and become a business owner, then they get, I'll just say it, preferential treatment at GM, Ford, Kellogg's, and a whole host of other big corporations. If they've got a problem, mold, like you say, a common problem, mold, you got to remediate that. A veteran-owned business, they get to the front of the line. Certification opens real doors, doesn't it?
Exactly. It opens real doors to a $122 billion supplier diversity marketplace. And let's be honest, we need to do more to help our veterans.
Yeah. And look, you encourage everybody at PuroVet and PuroClean to get this NVBDC certification. You even walk them through the process. It gives them a competitive edge, credibility, access to opportunities that a lot of folks just never see or never take advantage of, right?
Exactly. And this is an initiative being spearheaded by Frank Torrey, who was actually gracious enough to cover the certification fee for all of our franchisees that are veteran-owned. And really, this is part of a bigger plan to really grow the PuroVet system, build this incredible military community, and of course, drive more veterans into our platform, because we know this is an incredible opportunity for them to not only create a lasting business, but like I said earlier, a family legacy. A lot of our franchisees are multi-location, and of course, generational, which I think is, part of the mission to really provide opportunities to our vets.
Yeah, and you're not just saying that this will work. You've seen this work, haven't you?
Absolutely. We've seen success stories where certified franchisees can access contracts with the PGA. Currently, we have, I believe, numerous franchisees working with Walmart. So this is an incredible opportunity. It's a real system, and the successes are there.
And you're building a wall of honor to recognize the outstanding veteran entrepreneurs. I think it is terrific what Frank Torrey is doing, what you're doing, because you're out there flying the flag every day saying, look, you served our country. What can we do for you to help you get on your feet, make your dreams come true, help your family out, and do it in a way that really applies the skills that they learned in the military, which is, taking care of people, cleaning up after a disaster, making them feel like they can sleep at night with, some peace of mind, right?
Precisely. And the Wall of Honor is just another initiative that we're doing to honor our veterans. So the Wall of Honor is going to be at our headquarters, and it's going to feature all of our franchisees who are veterans. So then as people come in to do more training, they can really see the impact we're trying to create for our veterans.
All right. So look, if you're a veteran right now and you're paying attention, you've got a chance here that's special. You can go to purovet.com, I believe. Let's bring that in there real quick so we can show the folks, because you can get right in there. Purovet, purovet.com, or you can call 855-PUROVET. It's a great opportunity. And Paul, I want to thank you for being here, because this really is catching fire. People are making a difference. And I want to give you real quick, about 15 seconds, the last word.
Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show. And the goal is to really help our veterans access these unique opportunities in this amazing industry.
God bless America, Paul. Thank you for being here. And if you're a veteran, or if you know a veteran, here's your last call, purovet.com. Go check it out. Find it online, purovet.com, or you can call 855-PUROVET. This is an opportunity, a real opportunity to own a business, to plug into your community, to build something for your family, and for us to say thank you for serving America. We'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back at it now as I look at the total votes. I'm just looking at it because as I look back now at 2020, clearly it was something completely irregular about all of it. Mass mail-in ballots is the answer, of course. Powered by fake driver's licenses and IDs coming in from China, of course. You know, and the Joe Biden won the election of 2020 by less than 20,000 votes across states like Arizona, Wisconsin. That's just razor thin margins to secure the election of 2020. Millions more people voted. 4 million more people voted in 2020 than 2024. They claim. I find that awfully hard to believe, don't you? Well, it's what they tell us, but it does seem awfully hard to believe that. It seems awfully hard to believe that that's what they would come up with, but that is what they are peddling. No question about that. That is what they are peddling. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at NeuroGuard. NeuroGuard is a new technology designed to protect your kids. If your kids are going into football and whatnot this fall, about football, so you can see what time is it. Time for practice to start. Yeah, the NeuroGuard is a mouth guard that'll protect their brains. Yeah, it keeps the shock out of their head. Make sure they don't get concussions. It stops them almost completely. Dr. Michael Hutchinson, good man. He's a dentist in Traverse City, Michigan. He's created a mouth guard for athletes in all sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, doesn't matter. It almost prevents concussions because it dissipates the energy so you can keep your head in the game. Don't get your bell rung. NeuroGuard, down to 0.26% of the time for concussions or less. It also increases your strength and your ability to lift more weight. And it's been verified by Michigan State and Wayne State Universities. Find out more. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Certified results. And a promo code Gruber, you'll save 10%. Probably a pretty good guess on the promo code anytime you see a product here you're interested in. NeuroGuardPlus.com. Keep your kids and grandkids' head in the game. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk about this trade deal. We're going to talk about the border. We're going to talk about success for the Trump administration. We're going to talk about the greatest scandal in American history, too. More coming up on The Steve Gruber Show. Well, top of the morning to you. Welcome back to Studio G, fighting for you for this foxhole of freedom. By the way, who do you want in your foxhole? You ever think about that? Who do you want shoulder to shoulder with you when you're fighting for something important like, say, this country? Good thing to think about. With talent on loan from God, as somebody used to say. I'm Steve Gruber, and this is the Steve Gruber Show. Thank you for being here. 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1. While we may have sealed a deal with the EU on trade biggest ever, there is significant challenges when it comes to free speech over there, something that they used to support but now attack. Strange. Number 2, we'll have the latest on the upcoming arraignment on that mass stabbing suspect in Michigan facing a count of terrorism and 11 counts of attempted murder, stabbing all those people in Walmart. And number 3, the biggest scandal in American history still playing out in front of all of us. And look, I'm not going to let this go. Tulsi Gabbard has dropped the evidence for all to see. The Democrats and their media lapdogs don't care, though. They keep screaming, it's nothing new. And the dirty Democrats led by Barack Obama did nothing wrong. It's just not true, folks. It's the biggest scandal in American history. And at least it was the focus of some of the Sunday shows yesterday. Lindsey Graham, not my favorite. Lindsey Graham, not even close to my favorite. Gets basically shouted down by Kristen Welker on NBC News for telling the truth about the Russian hoax. Here's part 1. Listen.
Senator, as you know, former President Obama has weighed in through a spokesperson. He says that's just patently false. I actually spoke to Susan Miller, who's a former senior CIA officer who helped oversee the 2017 intelligence assessment on Russian interference. She says it's completely false that Obama or anyone else asked them to change or sway their investigation. She says they all, she says, and she's a Republican, says they all would have quit if that had happened. Senator, are you trying to rewrite history to distract from the Epstein matter, Senator?
No, I'm trying to let you know and the media know that we found something we didn't know before. At the end of the day, I'm not calling for a prosecution against President Obama for treason, but I am calling for an investigation. Mr. Miller also said there was no credible evidence that President Trump colluded with the Russians.
Yeah, no credible evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians. We know that now. Tulsi Gabbard put all the information out there. And the left losing their minds over this, losing their minds. Oh, that's not true. It's collusion. You know, 60% of Democrats still believe there's some sort of a operation between Trump and the Russians. Patently false, never happened. It was first bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and then rededicated and reworked by Obama beginning 9 December 2016. But then, you know, again, Lindsey Graham, generally not somebody who I put much faith in, but he actually hammers away at the truth. Welker there on NBC can't stand it. Can't stand it. Here it is.
For years and months and days and weeks, people had their lives turned upside down chasing the Mueller narrative that Trump was in bed with the Russians, that the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians. The only people colluding with the Russians were the Hillary Clinton campaign and Christopher Steele manufacturing a document to get warrants against Carter Page based on lies and falsehoods. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with it. What you don't seem to acknowledge is there's something new being found. Rather than reinventing the wheel here, let's go back to a special counsel model to look at this something new. The something new is statements by President Obama. I don't like your analysis. Russia wasn't involved here in 2016.
Senator, you're saying there's something new. This report goes back to 2020. It's 5 years old. There's actually nothing new in this report and nothing that changes any conclusion. But I want to talk about
Gaza.
Turned over
Senator. Is new to me.
Senator,
it's new to me.
But Senator,
I mean, you're trying to sweep this stuff under the rug, and that's not right.
Yeah, it's not right. It's all new to me, Kristen, but somehow you all knew about it? Please. She had busted lying right there now, didn't she? Of course she did. It's all new. And it's confirmation of what we've always known. Confirmation of what we have always known, and that this Russian narrative, well, we've known for a long time, maybe not always, but known for a very long time. This is garbage. There's nothing actually to any of it. But they lied and lied and lied and lied. And over on PBS, they did a special about this back in 2017. All the usual suspects were there for it. All the usual, and you got to pay for a good chunk of that with your tax dollars. Not anymore, of course. Trump got rid of that. But here's the former DNI James Clapper, blatantly lying about Russian interference and working with President Trump. Again, this is all from the fall of 2017, PBS. Listen.
I will just say that for me, the evidence was overwhelming, and that's why the intelligence community assessment
You're a liar.
had such high confidence levels. With the team that we put together, the 24 or so expert analysts from the three agencies and my office who were involved in this, all of whom came with lots of experience and understanding of Russia. And they were unanimous in their view on what had transpired.
Liar.
But now when all that will be revealed, I don't know. But I hope it's some time away because we are still depending on those techniques and accesses for information, for intelligence.
Liar, 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 liar. He's just lying. I got a clip of Brennan from the same program lying his ass off, too. It's true. They're just lying their asses off. Oh, yeah, we saw. It's unequivocal. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely incredible. Right. By the way, Donald Trump about to leave Scotland after his remarkably successful trip, putting the thumb screws to the EU. We get 0% tariffs of our products going that way. The EU is going to invest $1.35 trillion, that's with a T, trillion dollars in America, and pay 15% tariffs coming this way. The art of the deal. Wow. Ursula von der Leyen got smoked. We'll have more after the break as we continue. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. We get a little ahead of myself here. But getting absolutely smoked. We're watching the live feed there. You can put that in a 2-box. There was a horse out there waiting for Donald Trump to go by, right? A horse out there waiting for Donald Trump to come whizzing by after this incredible deal. Again, think about this. $1.35 trillion is what came in, or will be coming in investment. The EU will now buy LNG, liquefied natural gas, and military equipment. It's interesting that Ursula von der Leyen now says that American natural gas is far better and more affordable than the natural gas from all the neighbors of Europe there, which is good because they were buying their natural gas from Russia, right? Buying the natural gas from Russia, and thankfully we're not bankrolling Vladimir Putin anymore. We're going to bankroll America, and that's a very nice deal, a nice turn of events for us. No question. But you have to ask yourself, what did the EU get out of it? It's the best deal ever made. I do think. I think it's like the best deal ever made. As Donald Trump puts together a deal that puts America on the right track for years to come. By the way, major on the economy, this is kind of important real quick, a 23-point swing toward Trump in optimism. 47% of Americans rate the economy good or excellent. That's up from 36 points. And not so good or poor dropped from 63 to 51. That's a 23-point swing toward optimism that's right, in the American economy from Americans. Good stuff for the president. I'll take a break. We'll be back here on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to see you as we kick off another brand new week. right, so you ask around, ask people you know, ask people you trust. What should be required to vote? Well, I think a driver's license is a bare minimum. An actual one, not one manufactured in China and sent through O'Hare Airport in Chicago, for the record. How about a citizenship test? I would agree that that's important as well. Look, we don't know who's voting in these elections if you don't have ID. So you need, and by the way, this was upheld in the state of Wyoming by a federal court where Wyoming says you have to provide proof of residency and citizenship to vote in Wyoming. So it's rolling down the right lane now. Charlie Colleen is the state director for Americans for Citizen Voting in Texas. It's a big deal down there, Proposition 16. Charlie, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, what's Prop 16? Tell the good people what it is.
Yeah, well, we're happy to announce today our campaign, Vote Yes on Prop 16. In November of this year, Texans, they'll have the opportunity to vote on it. And it's basically an amendment clearly stating that only U.S. citizens can vote in all of Texas's elections.
So any polling on this, I would think that it would poll really well, Charlie. I think that people would support this. But any polling on this, any idea? What does it take to make it to the ballot? What's happening?
Yeah, so this is actually in 15 states that we've passed this in. And it's going to appear on Texas's ballot and one other one.
What's the other one? Texas and where else?
I believe the other one's Oklahoma, where it's going to appear this year.
Go ahead.
Every time this is on the ballot, or every time we've tested it, it polls around 80% of U.S. citizens supporting only U.S. citizens voting in our elections. And the biggest question we always get is like, well, how is this possible? How are non-citizens voting in our elections? And so what happens is you'll find an area, a municipality that elects to do something called home rule. And that's how they'll be able to make a choice on who votes in their local elections. And that's what most of this is about, is making sure only U.S. citizens vote in all elections, including the local ones.
So here's my question, and it's a serious question, and that is simply this. How would this impact elections? We'll talk about presidential elections, for example. If Texas requires citizens only, and Oklahoma and 16 other states, whatever they are, which I'm going to guess are red states, but blue states allow illegals to vote, or they don't have restrictions, they don't have ID. Don't we get basically screwed by following the rules when nobody else does?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this is an important election integrity effort to make sure only U.S. citizens are voting in our elections. We've focused on places where we think we can politically get this passed. We call them Republican muscle states. Typically, where we have a 2/3 majority in the House and the Senate. Bear in mind, all these states that I've mentioned, they're where a constitutional amendment has passed, not a bill. So it's a little bit stronger. But yeah, I mean, our focus is to make sure we're able to do this nationwide, and we wanted to start where it was much more possible.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and let me tell you about Texas, though. So Texas was really one of the only states we've done where we needed Democrats to be on board. So the Republicans, they have a 2/3 majority in the House, but they don't no a 2/3 majority in the Senate, but not in the House. So we actually had to get Democrats to participate. This was a 3-year effort to get it across the finish line successfully. So we're very optimistic that we'll be able to operate in other states where it's a similar situation.
Fair enough. Can you take it to California? Would you take it to California? I mean, that'd be the biggest prize on the board, wouldn't it? And would you go there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other states we would probably do as more feasible to get it done. For example, in Michigan, there may be a ballot initiative that gets it on the ballot. You look at other states, very politically important, where the legislature is a lot more mixed, like Georgia. I think those are more on the near-term radar than when you look at a state like California. But I completely agree with what you're getting at. I mean, when there is a vote cast in any election, it needs to be unequivocally only a U.S. citizen casting that vote. As a citizen, I think you take a longer-term view on this country. I mean, that goes into your decision-making process, and we're 100% in favor of that.
Yeah. I think it's incredibly important. I think it should be a federal thing. I mean, why would we not just say, hey, we need federal support and we need to be able to, we need to know that the people that are voting in this election, because here's the thing. California already has, 7 members of Congress are not entitled to. I wrote about this 15 years ago now. Because they count illegal aliens as part of their citizenry, so therefore they ended up with about 7 members of Congress, maybe more, that they're not entitled to, frankly, which means that states like Texas and Florida and others get shorted the number of representatives they deserve in Congress. So this is a problem that flows through the entire election cycle because of illegals, people that shouldn't be here, non-citizens being counted for representation in Congress and for election. I'll give you the last word here. I think what you're doing, Charlie, is really important, and I hope it's successful in Texas, and I just saw what happened in Wyoming, Texas, Oklahoma, 16 states, really important. Last word to you.
Well, hey, we're going to fight like none other to get across the finish line. This is a nationwide movement, 15 states where it's already done successfully, and we look at the other 35 as a big opportunity. So we really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you being here. You come back and give me updates from time to time and let me know how this is going. This is on the ballot this year or next year?
This year, 2025, it's on the ballot in Texas.
All right. So off your election, you'll have fewer people, but dedicated voters will turn out. So that's probably good news for your initiative. Charlie, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Americans for Citizens Voting. Yeah. How is this a tough question? How is this a big concept? Seems pretty straightforward. It's what you would do, isn't it? Of course it is. Take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to see you on a Monday. All right, I was at Tractor Supply yesterday. You know why? Because I am on weekends, oftentimes at TSC. Other times during the week, but TSC, a place you got to get your chicken food. Yeah, you got to get your chicken feed and your dog food and your cat food and a multi-tool, because somehow we have multi-tools, Leatherman, if you will, in every vehicle in our household. But Ivy's was missing, so naturally I had to pick up a new one for her and make sure that she is ready. You can't leave home without a multi-tool, and you can't leave home without a sidearm. Not in this day and age. Anyhow, the news about Tractor Supply is this: they're exploding. 100 new locations next year. 100 new TSCs next year. Huge performance. They reported second quarter net sales rose 4.5% year over year to $4.4 billion. Store comps up 1.5%. The retailer's largest sales quarter ever. CEO Hal Lawton told analysts a year ago the company saw comps drop 0.5%. Gross margin expanded too. Net income, $430 million. Company reaffirmed its full-year outlook, saying it expects net sales to rise 4 to 8%. Comps to be flat or rise as much as 4%. Net income to land between 1.07 and 1.17 billion. from $430 million to $1 billion. They're doubling their net income. 24 new Tractor Supply stores opened in the second quarter of this year, and 2 under the name of Pet Sense by Tractor Supply, a pet store. They closed 1 Pet Sense. The plan is to open 100 new stores in 26 with the help of the recent acquisition of 18 Big Lots locations. So they took over Big Lots stores. They're going to convert them to TSCs. Chick Days helps spur record sales of live birds, by the way, along with coops, related supplies. Yeah, we're guilty of that. We're chicken ranchers over here. We like them a lot. I'll take a break. God bless TSC. I'll be right back. That is the American dream. God bless America and God bless TSC. I'll be right back here on the Steve Gruber Show. Don't go anywhere. All right, so big wins for Donald Trump. I mean, I keep looking at this EU deal thinking, man, Ursula von der Leyen didn't negotiate very well with Donald Trump. And now you move into the final negotiation with China, having a security deal with the EU, the UK, Japan, and others, puts China at a bit of a disadvantage, I think, in the negotiating. Donald Trump could have a clean sweep in all of this. Remember how they all said the tariffs wouldn't work, it's going to raise inflation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, didn't happen. But there have been disappointments, Ukraine being one of them. Can't seem to get that war to come to an end, despite his best efforts. Join me now, Brandon J. Weichert, author of 4 best-selling books, most recently, A Disaster of Our Own Making, How the West Lost Ukraine. He's a senior national security editor at the National Interest, as well as a contributor at Popular Mechanics. Good to have you here, Brandon. Thank you for joining me.
It's very good to be back. Thanks for having me again.
Look, this war just drags on, and Donald Trump felt, he's obviously on the campaign trail said he'll end this war on day one. Well, day one came and went, and so did month one. In the first 6 months, it obviously has not happened. But his intentions are right. He's tried. They tried very hard, and now he's saying to Putin, look, if you don't stop this, we're going to unleash trade punishment and economic punishment like you've never seen before. I mean, it's a pretty good card to play. The problem with that card is it could take months, maybe years for it to work. Where are we?
I actually think the war is going to probably be coming to an end in another 49 or 50 days.
Why?
Well, that's the timeline that Trump has given. He said, in 50 days, if there isn't movement toward peace, I'm going to start slapping on not just sanctions, but I'm going to start slapping on secondary and tertiary sanctions. Basically, he's going to start enforcing sanctions in a way that apparently the Biden regime did not enforce on third parties purchasing Russian oil, for instance, India, maybe even China. Now, that's a very risky strategy. I'm very skeptical, but I think that the Russians secretly want to end this war and start doing business with the Americans the way they did before the war began. And I think they know Trump is really their only bet that they're going to be able to truly reset relations with the United States and the West. And I think that basically what Trump's doing is he's going to give Putin a 50-day window to make some moves on the battlefield. They've got 160,000 new Russian troops entering the fray. They've already, they're already taking significant ground, even with the aid that we've given Ukraine. I think basically Trump's going to let the pieces fall where they may over the next 50 days in Ukraine, and then probably Putin and Trump will come to a big, beautiful table and get a deal. And by the way, Zelensky might not be president for much longer. There's a lot of talk they're going to overthrow him right now and replace him possibly with Zaluzhny, the great Ukrainian general.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. Look, Ukraine is not a democratic republic. It's not really a democracy. No. It's been hijacked by Zelensky. It's the most corrupt nation in all of Europe, one of the most corrupt nations in the world, and it has been my entire life. Everybody knows that. What are the actual casualties from this war? I mean, I look at some of the numbers. It says 1.5 million. That's more, by the way, than all the people killed in 1939 and 1940 at the front end of World War II. Those numbers are pretty staggering because that's more people that were killed in 1939 and 40 after Germany invaded Poland and so forth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, I would be very careful with the numbers coming out of the war. Both the Ukrainians and the Russians are manipulating the numbers that are being broadcast. But the Ukrainian numbers are always, they're always downplaying the losses of their people, obviously, and they're overstating the losses of the Russians. And I was told early in the war, and it's still this way, U.S. intelligence is relying exclusively on Ukrainian reports to determine, how much equipment's been lost and how many people have been lost in the war, which I think is a huge mistake. I think the Russians have not lost as many as the Ukrainians claim, and I think it's very possible that the Ukrainians have lost way more than they're saying. This is a brittle regime. It's not going to last much longer in Ukraine, even if they can somehow make it out of the war intact. They're not going to be able to rebuild with the amount of people they've lost.
So what happens to Zelensky? He just walks into the sunset, his pockets stuffed with American money? I mean, that's it, isn't it?
Well, Zelensky's he likes real estate. I live in Florida, and I have been told by friends of mine up in Ocala, which is horse country in Florida, that a lot of Ukrainians are sniffing around for good real estate up there. We know the Ukrainians have been sending their children to buy yachts in Miami. I've been told that Zelensky's mother-in-law has a beautiful piece of property, I believe, in Abu Dhabi, and Zelensky has been purchasing real estate all around London. So he is creating, a real golden parachute for himself. The question is, will he be able to get to a jet in time when the hammer finally drops on him, which I think it's coming, and will he be able to escape to one of those foreign enclaves before his domestic opponents, whack him? That's going to be the real question. How fast can he run when the hammer comes down? Because it is coming.
Well, it has to come. Look, he's not been. I've never been a fan.
Neither have I.
I'm not a fan now. I've never been a fan of what he does or who he is. So, I mean, how does he get out of there with all that money? Buying yachts, real estate in London and Florida and all over the world. I mean, he fleeced his own country. I mean, that money was not intended for him to buy yachts and mansions. It was intended to go to a war effort, not to his golden parachute, right?
Right. Well, this is the story of most American clients. I mean, just look at the leadership of Afghanistan, right? They all fled in the last minute, and they took a lot of U.S. foreign aid, quote unquote, money with them, screaming, "I surrender" all the way. This is a classic. This is the U.S. foreign policy on display. So, yeah, he fleeced his people, but it wasn't just him. A lot of his other people in his government did. As you noted rightly, Ukraine is the most corrupt country. And I would just remind your audience, for those on the left who are screaming that, oh, this is a democracy we're defending, Zelensky suspended the elections last May. He has outstayed his term in office by over a year. He promised when he suspended the elections, I'll reopen elections in February of 2025. Well, we are in the middle of or end of July now in 2025, and there's no sign that he's going to restart elections. So this is a dictatorship that we're dealing with, not a democracy.
It is a dictatorship, has been for a long time, and he fleeced the American taxpayers to make it happen. To me, it's outrageous.
It is. And I would just also compare that, and I'm not going to try to make myself sound like a fan of Russia either, but the Russians have actually maintained all of their elections all throughout the war, even, whether the elections are corrupt or not. I mean, yeah, sure. But the point is, at least the Russians are maintaining a consistent appearance of democracy, whereas the Ukrainians are not even trying anymore, and yet we're still giving them money and support, and it's a mistake.
Brandon, I hope you're right about the war coming to a close here in a month and a half. I hope you're right about it. You come back anytime if we get to that point.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, greatly appreciate your time here, and I hope your crystal ball is on the money, my friend. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. All right, so look, this war, even if the numbers are exaggerated by, some significance, still talking about 1 million people, right? A bloody, treacherous war. No good to anybody. I'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that trade deal put together. $1.35 trillion invested into America, and they'll be paying 15% tariffs, will the EU. More after the break. All right, well, keeping an eye on this trade deal, $1.35 trillion invested into America. It's the biggest deal ever made when it comes to trade. And Ursula von der Leyen says, well, Trump was really tough. Said he was fair, but tough. And I'm watching social media here. And there are a lot of folks that are really unimpressed with Ursula von der Leyen. They say she got creamed in this deal. I don't know if she did or didn't, but they're saying she got creamed here because Trump got everything and she got nothing. Okay, so the tariffs for American goods, zero. Zero. The tariffs for EU goods coming to America, 15%. 15%. So 1.35 trillion plus 15% tariffs coming in, you know, honestly. I don't know how you would argue that. All right, so let's go to bite number 2 here. Ursula von der Leyen saying Trump was tough, but fair, she says. Fair? She got her clock clean, but here she is.
When I saw you at the start, I thought, doesn't look like a happy couple, you two sitting there. So how were the negotiations actually in this last hour? Was it difficult, or was it actually just rubber stamping, which already had been prepared?
No, it was very difficult because we started far apart from each other. It was tough, fair, but it was tough. And therefore, rightly so, you saw the tension at the beginning. So we had to work hard to come to a common position. And till the very end, as always in negotiations, you don't know whether you'll find the landing point, the landing zone at the very end, or whether it crashes. So it was tough, but in the end, as we were successful, it's good and it's satisfactory.
It's good and it's satisfactory. Man, she's getting chewed up, though, on by people online. Not impressed with what she came back with. We are, though. We are impressed. Why wouldn't we be? We should be impressed because we got what we wanted, which is America first. We got America first. In fact, the EU deal was so good for America. So good for America. The reporters are like, what has happened here? What has happened? Go to bite number 10, if you would, Anthony. This is the EU reporters just dumbfounded as to what has gone on. Listen to this.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the EU Commission President. What are the U.S. concessions? What is the U.S. giving up in the deal, if anything?
So the starting point was an imbalance, a surplus on our side and a deficit on the U.S. side. And we wanted to rebalance the trade relation. And we wanted to do it in a way that trade goes on between the two of us across the Atlantic, because the two biggest economies should have a good trade flow between us. And I think we hit exactly the point we wanted to find. Rebalance, but enable trade on both sides, which means good jobs on both sides of the Atlantic, means prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic, and that was important for us.
Let's break this down a little bit, all right? I think the deal with Japan brought $650 billion in investment. $1.35 trillion from the EU there. Now you're at $2 trillion. You've got other deals with Vietnam, with the Philippines, and others. When this is all done, it's going to be a lot more than $2 trillion. It's going to be several $1 trillion of investment into the United States. You look at the investments in places like Pittsburgh, $15 billion in U.S. steel. Into Pennsylvania, $90 billion for AI and high tech. Plus a lot of discussion that NVIDIA and these other chip makers are going to do really well because of the legislation and the executive orders being signed by this president. I don't know how you could look at any of this and not just go, my God, it's the most remarkable series of deals ever made on behalf of this country. Let me see what the futures are today. Let me just check real quick. See what the futures are heading into the stock market. Futures put the market over 45,000, the S&P over 6,400, the NASDAQ. And remember, we were just trying to get past 6,000 here just a few weeks ago. NASDAQ is going to be at 23.5. So they're all up just a little bit, but the fact that they are this high and doing that well, remarkable, absolutely remarkable. How else do you look at this? This president is hitting for the cycle. You know, some days are singles, some days are doubles, some days are triples. This, with Europe, was a walk-off home run. It's a grand slam walk-off home run for the United States. You watch. The economy by this time next year should be absolutely hitting on all cylinders because of President Trump, period. He's to be praised for this. And if he's not, then people aren't being honest. That's what I would say. People are just not being honest. If you want a great cup of coffee, 1775 coffee is the coffee you want in your cup. That's what I start with every day. If you love coffee, you're going to love this. Rejuvenate and mushroom specialty blends from 1775. Two powerful new coffee lines that go way beyond your average cup. Rejuvenate is the very first coffee ever infused with CAKG. It's a clinically studied ingredient. It supports energy, strength, and healthy aging. You've got so much going on at 1775. I got to tell you, you need to be part of it. You can try all of these new great blends, including Rejuvenate. It's a $200 package of coffee and merch for just $99. 3 full-size bags, bold roast, medium roast, anti-aging Rejuvenate, plus exclusive merchandise, including a black tumbler and so much more. All you have to do is go to 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Get on board. Drink great coffee. Don't drink that burnt oily stuff from, what's that place with the green logo? Yeah, you know the place. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. All right, let's check in on sports now with my good friend, Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. A full schedule of games in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included Boston, Detroit, and Texas. National League winners included Washington, Milwaukee, and San Diego. Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Dick Allen, and Dave Parker were inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame yesterday. In Cooperstown, New York, Suzuki, Sabathia, and Wagner gave speeches, while Allen and Parker were inducted posthumously. Allen passed away in 2020. Parker passed away just a month ago due to Parkinson's disease. Bubba Wallace won the NASCAR Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway yesterday, his first win of the year and his first victory in 100 races. Kurt Kitayama won the PGA Tour's 3M Open in Minnesota. He shot a final round 65 to win by one shot, and Tadej Pogacar won the Tour de France yesterday, his fourth title in the last 6 years. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, here's my question for you. Are the Tigers finally out of the dumper? Are they back playing baseball again?
Ask me that after this series against Arizona. They're playing the Diamondbacks in Detroit this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, they won yesterday, right? They're not totally in the dumper anymore.
No, and they actually picked up a game because Cleveland lost yesterday. So their lead is 8 games with 55 games left in the regular season. Trade deadline is Thursday at 6 o'clock.
What's your gut tell you?
They have to get a couple of relievers, Steve. Relief pitchers.
So when's the deadline?
Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
And who do we got? Who's out there?
Who's out there?
A lot.
No big names, but they've tried going to the minor leagues and bringing up guys, and that just hasn't worked over a long period of time. I keep hearing they're going after Arizona third baseman Eugenio Suarez, who's a Tiger who was with the Tigers like 10 years ago.
Right.
But we'll see. I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Anyhow, at least they won yesterday. We'll see how they do against the Diamondbacks. They need relievers. All right. Fair enough. Thank you, Brock, for that. Tigers still the best there are. When we come back, we'll have a whole brand new hour. We're going to talk about that Walmart stabbing. Shocking. 11 people hospitalized, but nobody killed. Remarkable. That story and so much more still to come on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad you are here to start the week. Launching another brand new hour here, the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you on board from the foxhole of freedom. Who do you want in your foxhole today? It's a great question. Just remember, we're here to protect you. America first. That's the theme here every day. God bless America. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the EPA has moved to slash Obama-era gas can regulations. You know, the gas can might actually work. Instead of dribbling out when you pour it, it might actually pour gasoline. What an idea. Number two, investors in Europe thrilled with the deal made with the United States, though some people on social media are not. We'll talk about that. And number three, how about the latest here on this crazy stabbing at the Walmart in Traverse City? Happened on Saturday. Just a crazy series of events that happened there. The Grand Traverse County Sheriff, the county prosecutor, medical professionals updated the public about the stabbing. Michael Shea actually didn't do much of a job. I got to be honest here. I'm very disappointed in the sheriff. The victims range in age from 29 to 84, including a Walmart employee. All taken to Munson Medical Center. One patient has been treated and released. Two remain in serious condition. Others have progressed to fair condition. They've all progressed pretty well. And if you got victims that are in their 80s, well, this is a big improvement. The suspect has been identified, 42-year-old Bradford James Gill. Could be Gilly, it's Gille, of Afton. That's in Sheboygan County. It's got to be an hour. Likely to be arraigned today, could happen tomorrow. And luckily, all he had was a folding knife with a 3.5-inch blade. 11 counts of assault with intent to murder and 1 count of terrorism thrown in for good measure. The call came in about 4:45. And believe it or not, it took 3 minutes for people to be on the scene. The emergency usually have long response time, not on Saturday. Sorry about that, but I dropped everything. 3 minutes. So I praise the first responders, the Sheriff's Department, the Michigan State Police, the ambulance crews, the fire crews, all of them. Great job. The efforts of law enforcement. By the way, one bystander carried a pistol. They're not talking about this on national news. I don't know why, but they're not, which is too bad because it's really important. A couple of retired Marines showed up on the scene, right? And these Marines, one of them rammed the guy from behind with a shopping cart into his Achilles tendons. That had to hurt. Ouch. Knocked him down. Another guy pulls his gun, thankfully. Good news. But they're not telling you that on the national news media. They're not telling you there was a good guy with a gun. They're not telling you there was a good guy with a gun that was there that stopped this rampage and this violence in its tracks. They should. That should be one of the lead stories out there, but they don't want to ever tell you things like that. They don't ever want to tell you things like that, so here we are. Anyhow, we'll have more on that coming up with Katie Hyde here in a moment from Michigan News Source. Michigan News Source just doing a tremendous job covering this story all weekend. From the time that it broke until today. We'll find out about that arraignment. Maybe she has an update on that as when the arraignment is expected. I don't know if she does or doesn't, but Katie Hyde will join me here in just a moment to talk about that from Michigan News Source. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Meanwhile, Euro investor sentiment on the rise after the U.S.-EU deal. This is the greatest trade deal ever put together. $1.35 trillion in investment in America. $750 billion of that will be in energy. $750 billion in energy. And there's also going to be money involved in buying military equipment from the United States. President Trump sealing that deal with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The deal, and this is what's remarkable, American products will have a 0% tariff going into EU countries, but they're going to pay the United States 15% coming the other way. I mean, talk about winning. And so now Trump is with Keir Starmer. He's the UK prime minister. I mean, they change prime ministers so fast it's hard to keep up with. I understand that. I mean, fast. But Keir Starmer is with Trump right now. Good relationship, he says. They work to finalize details of the May agreement at Turnberry. That's the Trump resort there in Scotland. So it looks like those deals are going to get done as well. So here's the takeaway from this. These are good deals. So you've got a deal with the UK, a deal with Japan. The Japan deal is worth $600 to $650 billion in investment in the United States. This one, $1.35 trillion, which means that's $2 trillion of investment between those two deals. When everything's done, there will be trillions of dollars in investment in the United States because of the efforts of President Trump. That's a fact. Trillions of dollars of investment because of what President Trump has done here. And you can't overstate that. America First policies that have resulted in just jaw-dropping success in this deal. So good for President Trump. Meanwhile, here's a smaller note here, but because I find myself on occasion, I'll stop at a yard sale, garage sale. You know what I'm looking for? Usually, gas cans. Gas cans wear out, right? They do over time. They wear out. And the problem is new gas cans, frankly, suck. They suck. They don't pour gas. They dribble. Blah, blah, blah. And they have these anti-leak things that, of course, leak everywhere. They're awful. Well, the EPA, thank God, has made a move to get rid of these crappy gas cans. Lee Zeldin, this is your good news of the day. Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, says, we're done with that. Encouraging manufacturers to, quote, produce cans that meet consumer needs with vents to facilitate fast and smooth fuel flow. Yeah, that would be nice. Regulations first put into place by who? Barack Obama. They removed vents and gas cans in order to reduce vapor emissions, as if that has any damn effect on anything. The vents prevented a vacuum from forming inside the gas can, allowing it to pour gasoline smoothly. Since the regulation was rolled out, consumers and retailers have expressed frustration with the new design, which often causes gasoline to spill everywhere. Pointless government regulation. Pointless government regulation making gas cans just horrible. They dribble like a child's sippy cup. Yeah.
I just went on Amazon and bought one of the old ones for my new gas can.
Exactly.
Yeah. You drill a hole in the back of the gas can.
That's what we've all done that. Either drill a hole or take your X-Acto knife, whatever you got, you punch a hole in the back, so it'll work. And then you've got these things, Anthony, you see where it's got like the safety valve thing. You have to push that up for the gas to flow.
That's what mine had, and it broke, and it was terrible.
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of this gives me gas, or something like that.
But they're all standard threads, so you can just go on Amazon and buy like a 2, 3, 4-pack of those, and just put them all.
But you still have to vent the can.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Just your driver put a drill bit on there.
The one I bought came with one of the caps to put over the hole when you drill it.
Nice.
Yep.
What'd that cost?
$10 for a 2-pack.
There you go. Well done, Anthony. Well done. All right, we'll take a break and be back. We're going to talk with Parker Fairbairn when I come around after this. All right. Well, my next guest got a lot of nice comments about him with people I was talking to at the Charlevoix County Republicans gathering in northern Michigan. Happened on Thursday. A pretty good gathering of folks. I enjoyed being up there. State Representative Parker Fairbairn is a Republican from Harbor Springs. He's joining me now. Parker, nice to have you back on the program.
Thanks for having me back, Steve.
Yeah, a lot of people said nice things about you, though. You didn't make it over there. That's all right, but they seem to like you. Pleased with your representation so far, and you're new at the job, so that's a good thing to hear, right?
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's good. I wish I would have been there. We were stuck in session down in Lansing.
I understand. I was stuck in session there at the boathouse in East Jordan, but it was great. Really enjoyed it. Nice people and a good turnout. So the damage from this ice storm here, it's been a few months ago now. It is catastrophic to this day. There are businesses that are not open, golf courses, because they can't get insurance. They're in Gaylord, I know that. I know that there's problems with state parks and trails and so forth, still clogged up with deadfall and so forth. Look, we're going to have a major fire in northern Michigan. I'm going to tell people again, we will have a major fire maybe as early as next summer, because you have all of these dead trees all piled up. It's inevitable. A lightning strike and wind, and you get a big fire. We need a plan, Parker, and I know you want relief from the storms, and we need that, but we also have to look forward and say, look, you've got all of this dead brush and trees and so forth on the ground. We're going to end up with a major forest fire in Michigan. I mean, it's inevitable unless we get something to start thinking ahead. What do you say?
Yeah. And you look, 100 years ago, we had a fire that went from Lake Huron all the way to Lake Michigan, across the whole, basically all of northern Michigan.
Happened twice.
And that's exactly right. So we need to do what we can to stop that. And I think it's, the Senate Democrats are holding this up. There's no question about it. And I think it's really incumbent on them to get this done. If this would have been downstate in the Ann Arbor, Detroit area, they had a natural disaster, they would have had the money by now. They probably would have had a lot more than $100 million going their way. So I'm pushing really hard. I know the whole Northern Michigan caucuses, and it's wonderful to have Speaker Hall and the Appropriations Chair, Ann Bolin, working really hard to try and get this through in the Senate.
Yeah, it's been 144 years. That last big fire you referred to, 1881. And we could see a fire. I mean, I don't know if it stretched from lake to lake, but you look at the hundreds and hundreds of square miles that were affected by this. And you drive around Gaylord, or you get to the north of Gaylord and northeast of Gaylord, and you go over, toward Elmira. I mean, that whole region is just hammered from this ice storm, isn't it? People don't realize how intense it was, but it's just hammered, isn't it?
And we didn't have casualties. We didn't have deaths from this ice storm. But if you go out, you can't navigate through the woods. You can't walk through the woods without going over all sorts of tree debris.
Right.
So, that's what we're contesting with. And you look, that these trees are drying out through this summer. Even though we've had a lot of rain, they're dying and drying out. Next summer is going to be very dangerous. And I've been raising the alarm about the fire damage that has the potential of being catastrophic and another natural disaster for northern Michigan if we don't start managing it and getting these forests cleaned up.
Yeah, and we've seen, ice storms like this happen from time to time. You have a massive ice storm, special occasion, because it just sits and doesn't move. It's not unprecedented, but because it's not unprecedented, you could look at the historical fires. In 1871 and 1881, they were due in large part to logging and not great practices of people cleaning up. Similar. You just end up with a bunch of debris on the forest floor. You end up with a lightning strike, and away it goes. And so, you're exactly right. You're the first person, by the way, besides myself, that I've heard talk about this, Parker. So I give you credit, because we're facing a real threat. And that will get people killed, and that will get houses destroyed, because houses get caught in a firestorm if it gets to be the size that I think it could. What do we do about it? How do we get ahead of this thing?
It's going to take money, and I think it's going to take state investment. You saw President Trump come out with that $50 million from the feds and FEMA support. So I think you're starting to see the right things come out. It's good that we got the FEMA support. I wasn't sure that was going to happen, so that's a great start. But if we can get those state dollars to activate as well, I think that's going to be what makes the difference. $100 million coming from the state, that's going to be all sorts of cleanup, whether it's private property. We've got these huge debris drop sites. I don't know if you've seen them, but I'd say it's 20, 25 plus acres here in Emmett County. 20
there's a
feet
giant.
tall.
There's a field that I drive by between Elmira and the junction where the big East Jordan foundry is there on 131. There's a field there that's just stacked, deep with all the debris. But that's just one. That's barely a dent. I know, because you're right. You can't walk through the forest. You can't go through a lot of the state trails. A lot of it's not possible. And we don't have the resources to clean up, more than manpower for that matter, do we?
No, and I mean, northern Michigan's going to be decimated. And you look at the economic impact too. I mean, people are wanting to go out in the woods and hike these trails, and we have trails that aren't walkable. So you're going to see an economic impact on that too, where you're going to see a decrease in people visiting northern Michigan, and that's a bad thing. We don't want to see that, and that's again why it's incumbent on the Senate to get moving this bill. It's a clean bill. I think it's worth getting it done, and northern Michigan's going to be better off if we can make that happen.
Absolutely true. Parker, I applaud you for being on top of this coming problem, a coming disaster. I mean, it's predictable, and I'm glad you're on top of it. Parker Fairbairn, you come back anytime. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Thank you, Steve.
Really appreciate it. All right, look, young man's doing the work right. They like him up north. They like his representation, and they like the fact that he's thinking about these things ahead of time. He's the only guy that I've heard talk about it besides me, so it's really important. We're going to take a break and come back. Katie Hyde, not too far away. We're going to talk about that Traverse City stabbing spree in a moment. All right, here's a little something for you. Mike Duggan, mayor of Detroit, getting a lot of traction. I was at this event, like I said, Thursday at the Republican event at the Boathouse, East Jordan, Michigan. Right? Cool place, by the way. And a lot of talk is about who is going to be the next governor of Michigan. And I was seeing this polling out of Southeast Michigan, out of Detroit and so forth. Mike Duggan's killing it there. He's the mayor of Detroit. He's well thought of there, popular. And by the way, he just killed it on fundraising, $3.2 million. He leads the race in money, and he leads the race in policy. Could Michigan end up with a so-called independent? I say so-called because, look, he's a Democrat. He's not one of the, he's not Zoran the moron. He's not Mamdani. He's not one of these guys. He's not like the clown running for mayor of Minneapolis. He's not that. Mike Duggan has outraised every other candidate running for Michigan governor. The finance reports came out Friday. $3.2 million he's brought in. Jocelyn Benson raised a little bit more, but they weren't direct contributions. at least $600,000 came from her Secretary of State fund. Eric Nesbitt brought in $2.29 million. John James, $2.27 million. So if you had a consolidated candidate on the Republican side, you'd have more money. You'd have $4.5 million coming in. But James' money also included $750,000 from his congressional campaign, and Nesbitt's included at least $363,000 from his Senate campaign and leadership funds. So Benson, Duggan, and Nesbitt, some of the early folks in. But Duggan, right now, you talk to people, Republicans included, he is running a better third-party campaign than anybody I remember in Michigan history as far as third parties go. Planning to get him on the program here. The invite has been made. We've talked to his campaign. You'll probably hear Mike Duggan here on the program before too much more time passes. I'll be right back with Katie Hyde from Michigan News Source. Yeah, I was minding my own business in Petoskey over the weekend, really enjoying my time up there. Beautiful weather for the weekend. And then, of course, I get notified by a member of my team that there's been this crazy multi-casualty, mass casualty event, I guess you'd call it, in northern Michigan at the Walmart in Traverse City. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But in this day and age, I don't know what makes sense oftentimes, but this is what happened. A man from 90 miles away from Sheboygan County, drives to this Traverse City Walmart, randomly stabs 11 people. Thank God he only had a knife with a 3.5-inch blade, but it was remarkable. Michigan news source all over it, including my good friend Katie Hyde, who joins me now. Katie, nice to see you here this morning. Crazy.
Good morning.
Crazy. I mean, people don't expect, they're popping into Walmart, grab a couple things. Thank God there were a couple guys there on vacation, up there for a couple of things. One, that hit him from behind apparently with a shopping cart, hit the suspect and hit him in the Achilles tendon, hurt him a little bit. And then another guy pulls the gun, holds him at gunpoint until the police can get there. So a good guy with a gun steps in. National news media not covering that aspect of the story, but what an insane series of events there. Thank God it was brought to an end quickly. What's the latest? When is this suspect, I've got his name here, 42-year-old Bradford James Gill, or Gilly, potentially. It's got an E on the end. Will he be arraigned today? Some people say today, some people say tomorrow. Do we have an idea on that yet?
The county sheriff mentioned yesterday in a press conference that he will be arraigned either today or tomorrow. And you alluded to some of these events, a horrific event that ended with 11 people being stabbed. All 11 of them were taken to the hospital as of the press conference yesterday afternoon. Thank God one had been released. Several of them had their conditions upgraded to good, and then several others were still receiving treatment in the hospital. But the timing of this event, between the time that the suspect was wreaking havoc and the civilians were able to subdue him and the time law enforcement arrived, 3 minutes. The suspect, according to witnesses...
Let me remark on that. Sure. 3 minutes in this day and age is kind of remarkable because a lot of these agencies, they're stressed for people, they're stressed for personnel. 3 minutes, that's pretty solid, I got to be honest, and I'm pretty pleased with that. Go ahead.
Exactly. So it looks like, according to camera and witness statements, that he was in the Walmart about a half an hour before this began. It doesn't appear that there's a clear motive yet, or that the people who were stabbed were targeted. He did stab one individual, and according to reports, on his way out the door, people tried to stop him and see what was going on, and he sort of stabbed them and made his way through the crowd, and that's where those other 10 injuries came from. When he got into the parking lot, one man who we're told is a Marine, saw what was happening, registered what was going on, took his shopping cart, shoved his young daughter aside, and shoved it into the back of his legs to knock him off balance. Then another man, who happened to be a Marine veteran as well, brings out his concealed carry, his legitimate firearm that he can legally carry. And you can see video online of him telling him, drop the knife, get on the ground. And this group of people subdued this suspect before more tragedy could occur. And then law enforcement came and took over from there. So it really, these harrowing stories, you hear of 11 people getting stabbed at a Walmart. Horrific. No one is arguing that. We pray for their speedy recovery, and that no one has any other physical issues beyond that. Then you also have good citizens who are willing to step up and save the day, so to speak, until law enforcement got there. And that's what Sheriff Michael Shea said yesterday. He said, we live in a day and age where people just don't want to get involved, but they stepped in, risked their own life to make sure that nobody else got injured. And that is the silver lining in this otherwise tragic story.
Yeah, we want to know who is this. Who is Bradford James Gill? Why did he travel it's about 90 miles. I had to finally look at the map. It's about 90 miles. I said an hour. It's longer than that, actually. Now, if I took, because those are not, those aren't highways, I took him close to 2 hours to drive to the Walmart in Traverse City randomly. He's in the store for half an hour and then starts stabbing people. Was it premeditated? Did he trigger? Is he mentally ill? Just so many questions, aren't there?
Absolutely, and these are questions that we'll be working over the next few days to get the answers to. The sheriff remained tight-lipped on those details, but he really did offer as much as he could in yesterday's press conference. We know he's 42 years old. We know he is a resident of Sheboygan County, and outside of that, we don't know much more about him, but those details tend to come with the formal arraignment, and certainly be looking at that. There's speculation all over the internet, and of course, internet chatter. We're not necessarily interested in fueling the speculation, but we are interested in reporting the facts. And so once we know more about him and can solidify some of these details, we will certainly let our readers and our listeners know. But certainly what could have been a much worse event averted by some quick thinking citizens and the good law enforcement agencies in northern Michigan.
Yeah. So here's something from just posted. And so I'll just say I'll take this with a, I won't verify for the veracity of what I'm reading here. Bradford James Gill, 42, resident Afton, Michigan. Folding knife used during the attack. Number 2, has a prior criminal history, possibly including assault. Has been charged with 1 count of terrorism, 11 counts of assault in this event. Reports unconfirmed suggest he may have been involved in amateur mixed martial arts. He also has apparently a self-published book last year titled The Book of I, Jesus, whatever that means. Who knows? That comes from MSN, but again, it's unconfirmed. I guess we just really want to find out what the story is here, Katie. Look, 29 to 84 years old, those are the people that were stabbed going to Walmart to do their business and get randomly attacked by a guy.
Right. And certainly this is something that in this day and age that people do keep an eye on, to go on their normal everyday errands, and certainly don't expect this to happen. But I think that more and more people are saying, if I'm in a situation like this, because evil does walk among us, because there are people out there who don't mind hurting others, to be aware of their surroundings and to be aware of what would happen if I was in a situation like this. Where are the exits? Where are the safe people? How would I protect my family? And so those are some of the things, unfortunately, that we need to think about. But there's a lot to learn from this situation. And I think there are a lot of good things to learn with how quickly everyone responded. The sheriff did say that even though he is extremely pleased with the law enforcement coordinated effort up there to get this man into custody, that there's always room for improvement, and they will be revisiting their techniques here in the near future.
Appreciate the incredible coverage by the people at Michigan News Source. You guys were all over this story from start to finish, and I appreciate the update here today, Katie. We'll figure out when he gets arraigned. We'll have you back. We'll talk about it going forward, but what a crazy story. Folks, don't leave home without it. And I'm talking about your concealed pistol license. All right. That's my opinion, not Katie's. That's mine. All right. Katie, thank you for being here as always. Maybe it is hers, but I'm not going to ask her. All right. MichiganNewsSource.com. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
MichiganNewsSource.com. You can stay up to date on this story and everything else affecting people in Michigan. It's the best news source out there, MichiganNewsSource.com. I'll take a break. Coming back, it'll be Ivy in the hot seat. You don't want to miss that ever. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back at it now. Ivy and I were minding our own business at a lovely little winery on Saturday afternoon when this story broke that we've been talking to Katie about. And I think, we're sitting there talking to people. People are like, Traverse City, really? Traverse City, it's a nice place, tourist town. It's also a sanctuary city and a place where they've got a big homeless problem. But that apparently is not the case here. This guy traveled from Afton in Sheboygan County, so he is on the other side of 75. Had to come all the way over. Ivy's with me now. Ivy, good morning. Nice to have you.
Good morning, Steve. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. Look, and what did we talk about as soon as this happened? Bill, you can't leave home without your CPL and the piece of equipment that goes with it. Mm-hmm. I would strongly encourage people, get your concealed carry. I mean, look, this is just one random act. And if thank God he only had a knife with a 3.5-inch blade. Folding knife. If he had a bigger knife, people would be dead, wouldn't they?
Well, that's certainly true. And, I feel for all of the victims. And what a crazy experience. You just go into a Walmart, you're just trying to buy some stuff.
Right.
Whether you're going to the beach or buying groceries or whatever it is that you're doing. And boom, all of a sudden some psychopath is going nuts with a knife. And how many times have we read when the good guys with the gun are
save the day
and help others in need? And I'm just so grateful for that they stood up.
I agree.
Multiple people stood up and did the right thing to take this guy down.
Infuriating about it, though. National news media is not covering that part of the story. They're covering the stabbing and the fact that he was subdued by patrons of the store, by customers, but they don't say that he pulled it. I mean, there's video all over because there's video of the guy holding a gun up.
Right.
In a strange
one guy hit him in the back of the legs with a cart, hitting his Achilles tendon. He went down, and then a guy came in that had a concealed carry gun, pulled it out, and demanded that he, drop the knife, and he threw the knife away. You can see that's in the video. And then several people came in to apprehend him so he couldn't get away until police arrived. And that's, that takes courage. And
it does take courage.
Thank goodness for that. But hopefully, I think several people have been released from the hospital. I think there's still a few in critical condition.
Correct.
So definitely prayers for
that.
But
the folks at Munson say everybody is coming along nice now. I don't think anybody's left in critical now. I think they're in serious condition, 3 of them.
Okay, have they been downgraded?
Yeah, right. They've been upgraded overnight. This guy's been arrested before. I found a picture of him from 2012. Mm-hmm. He would have been in, 29 or 30 years old, whatever he would have been. Mm-hmm. And arrested for possession of cocaine, possession of paraphernalia, and trespassing. Mm-hmm. We also have some indications that he's been charged with assault in the past. So he's got a criminal record here. But again, you have to say to yourself, what triggered this? What made him go off the deep end? Thank God it looks like the good news is I don't think he can own a gun. Not legally, right? So
but that doesn't mean necessarily that him or other criminals can get a hold of guns, but thank goodness he didn't have one. And who's to say, getting into the mind of someone like this is nearly impossible for people like us who would never consider such a thing, could never conceive of such a thing. But Fox News did report this morning that, yes, he does have a criminal history, and yes, some drug possession as well. So probably what we'd find there is accurate. But very crazy, especially when you think about a small town like Traverse City, Michigan, northern Michigan. You don't think of those sorts of things happening in a small town, and they do. So we're not immune anywhere in terms of violent crime. So always be on the lookout and be aware around your surroundings.
We were talking to a former member of law enforcement who shall remain nameless here today. Mm-hmm. But you and I have several friends that are retired law enforcement.
Yeah.
Talked to a couple of them over the weekend who all said the same thing. Don't leave home without your concealed carry. Why would you leave without it? If you're a police officer, like a couple of friends of ours that are, pretty good friends, and you're used to carrying that thing all the time, you would feel naked without it, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we forget ours. We need to be better about that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And if you don't have a concealed carry, I strongly suggest you go get trained and figure it out. Still trying to figure out how this guy is. I don't know when he's going to be arraigned. Mm-hmm. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I will say this, and I'm sorry, but Sheriff Shea, how useless. His press conference was useless. I mean, if you don't have anything to say, why call a press conference?
Might need some crisis training and how to deal with things like that,
Yeah, it's just terrible. But I'm talking to a bunch of the news people that are working in Traverse City. Oh, yeah, that's what he's like. We're used to it. He never talks. He never says anything. Well, then why call a press conference? If you're not going to say any damn thing, why call it? What a waste of time for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
What else you got?
So have you seen this this armored golf cart that Trump's just been running around with at the golf course? Anthony pulled up some. I pulled up some video for Anthony to play here.
Golf Force One.
Golf Force One. It's
Come
an armored. It's like an
on.
armored Polaris, which he brought. I think he when he
For
was
real?
yeah. I don't know if you can see it there on the
So
screen.
it's
but
like the little beast.
it's like a little beast, a
It's
mini
like
beast for the golf course.
mini
You know.
beast.
Which is important because there was a guy trying to, shoot him on a golf course in Florida. So maybe this is a good idea.
Right.
So, yes.
Wow.
Golf Force One. Golf
Bullet
Cart
resistant
Force One.
Yeah. Side panels, windshield, bullet resistant.
Yeah, tinted windows so you can't really see where he is. I'm sure there's pull-up
Well,
glass.
right, but what do you do when he gets out to hit the ball?
Well, that's
I
true.
what's the point of having if he jumps
It
up?
could be from moving him from location to location, like leaving the golf course to the hotel or
Right,
to wherever
right.
he's going to be or to the beast. It could be for that, transitional time too. So very interesting. But there's this other. What do you think about joining a scream club, Steve?
A
What
what?
do you think this is?
Scream?
Yes. There's this big thing in Chicago now that you line up along the shores of Lake Michigan.
And just
And
scream.
you just start screaming. Weird, right?
Yeah. Edward Munch. Yeah.
No thanks.
Scream Club. Yeah, well, scream till you're blue in the face. You probably still can't get some of these people's attention. Anyhow, thank you, Ivy. Love
Thank you.
Anyhow, we'll be right back. All right, so President Trump is now with Keir Starmer, Keir Starmer, however you say his name. Why can't it just be Bob Smith? I don't know. The UK Prime Minister, they're talking now after Trump secured this incredible trade deal with the European Union. They're speaking now. We'll, of course, have details for that. Tomorrow on the program, complete details for you. Yeah, we'll have all of that. And we'll also have the latest on the Fed. People really want to know why the Fed spent $2.5 or $3 billion on renovating a building. And Rand Paul says, actually, there's a lot more money. $186 billion in unaccounted for funds, says Senator Rand Paul. Federal Reserve pays hundreds of billions of dollars to banks while operating at a loss and increasing national debt. It's unchecked, unregulated, it's just unvetted and it's nonsense. And they do everything behind closed doors. Rand Paul says it's time to know, and for all of us to know, how the Fed operates, how it makes its decisions, and why the interest rates have not been lowered. Interest rates being lowered would help move housing, would help move used cars, would help people get maybe a refinance on loans that are too high for houses they do have. By the way, we could have a housing crisis coming. Looking at Cape Coral, Florida, for one of them. Prices there have collapsed, like I said earlier. I was just looking at it on Zillow. There's a bazillion houses available for under $300. If you're willing to pay $350 or $400, pick of the litter. Pretty nice homes, to say the least. Very much on the decline, prices in Cape Coral, Florida, and elsewhere as well. Fight the good fight, my friends. Keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you, my friends, can save America.